Hey friends, welcome back to Jenny Food and My Kitchen. Summer is my busiest season of the entire year. As a private chef, I'm either shopping, prepping, menu planning, recipe writing, or I'm in someone's home making them delicious food. Today, I thought I would share with you one of my personal favorite private chef recipes, and that is a marinated flank steak, Brazilian style, with chimichurri sauce. It seems fancy, but trust me, it's actually pretty easy. Let's make this. All right, I've got here some flank steak. Now, this is not the normal flank steak that I would buy. I am still living in the grocery pickup world. I've actually got a boot cast on. For those of you that have been following the foot saga, we still don't know, but we will know soon. In the meantime, I'm kind of at the mercy of grocery pickup with my local grocery stores. And normally, flank steak would come kind of as one whole piece like this. Especially, you can get good flank steak at Costco, and they're always kind of that like about this wide, maybe like this, and about this thick. It's kind of a wider, thin steak. Um, I did not know I was getting this, but we're going to make it work today. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and make the rub. So we've got some cumin, some oregano, some thyme, fresh lime, olive oil, and salt and pepper. So I'm going to put actually these spices together and rub that on. And then I will go in with the salt and pepper later. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to rub these steaks with some olive oil. The recipe calls for a 1/4 cup. I'm just going to kind of dump a little bit of oil on there and make sure that they're completely covered. And then once I'm done seasoning these, I will put them into a plastic bag to kind of marinate and sit in the fridge for a while. But given that these are pretty small, I don't think they don't need to be in overnight or anything, so which I guess is a good thing. I've got them rubbed with olive oil. Now I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to squeeze this lime over them completely. I've got one. I'm going to use 1/2 of this lime for one side and kind of give that a little massage. And then I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to use that other side, the other 1/2 of lime, to kind of squeeze over this side on both pieces. All right. I'm just going to take and put our spices into this little dish. Now we're going to start with 2 teaspoons of cumin. Oops, 2 teaspoons, right? Not just one. So that's 2 teaspoons of cumin. We are going to do 1 tablespoon or 3 teaspoons of oregano. And I know that seems like a lot, but trust me, this is delicious. And then we're going to go in with 2 teaspoons of thyme. We've got plenty of thyme. All right. So I am just going to go ahead and just give that a little zhuzh mix with my fingers. And then I'm going to just generously put that on each of these steaks. And we'll do that on both sides. And see, we're actually going to use up all of that seasoning. It smells so good. This is one of my favorite recipes. I mean, I always say that, but it's true. All right, and then lastly, we're gonna go in with some salt and pepper. I like to control, when it comes to steak, I like to control the salt and pepper. So if there's a marinade, unless I absolutely know that it's the right ratio, I will kind of control that salt myself. So we're just going to put a little bit of salt on this and flip. And then we will salt the other side. And then lastly, we're going to go in with a little cracked pepper over top of all of this. All right. Just like that, our steaks are ready. I'm going to go ahead and put these into a gallon-sized Ziploc bag. And I'm going to let these hang out about 4 or 5 hours before I grill them off for dinner. All right, these are completely ready to hang out in the fridge. I'm going to clean up a little bit, and next I'll show you how I make my chimichurri sauce. All right, it has been several hours. We've been letting this seasoning coating just sit on these steaks. Oh, they smell so good. But they are ready to be grilled off. Now, whenever I grill something, I always let it come to room temperature. I mean, that is such a chef trick. If you let your beef or even your chicken slightly, give it like 30 minutes, 45 minutes to an hour if it's really thick. But that way you're not putting cold meat on the hot grill and it has to kind of fight that first and then cook it. If you let your meat come to room temperature-ish, like I'm going to let these sit out about 30 to 40 minutes, then it will actually cook quicker and more even. So just a little tip for the day. But while we're waiting for that to get ready for the grill, I'm going to show you how I make that chimichurri sauce. Now I'm going to start with some fresh parsley, and I don't have my glasses on. And we need about 1 cup of parsley. So I'm going to say that's about, a handful equals 1 cup in my book. So I'm going to go ahead and give that just a coarse chop. We're going to put this right into the food processor, so that will do most of the chopping for us. And then I'm going to follow that up with some fresh cilantro. Now we need about half as much cilantro as we had parsley. So I'm just going to grab, slightly about half of what we just had. I'm going to throw that in. And then I'll just give that another quick little chop. And then I've got 3 cloves of garlic here. Now, actually, I think I'm going to start with 2. Sometimes fresh garlic can be very strong, so I'm going to start with 2 cloves. Now, if you're someone who is sensitive to garlic, and I have quite a few clients that cannot have fresh garlic in anything, whether it's cooked or not. I mean, they just can't have it. So I have found myself substituting garlic powder for a lot of things. All right, we got that peeled. Okay. I'm just going to give that kind of just a little bit of a chop before we put that in there. And we'll just whiz that up. If it needs more garlic, I can always add more garlic. That's the beauty of the chimichurri, is you can kind of like taste and add, taste and add, taste and add. So I'm going to go a little lighter on the garlic up front. All right, next we're going to put in some dried oregano. And that's 1.5 teaspoons. So there's 1 and a half. Next, we're gonna go in with a 1/4 cup of red wine vinegar, and I just have this little 1/8 of a cup. We'll just do that 2 times. All right. And then we're gonna put in a 1/2 cup of olive oil. Oops. We're gonna go in with 1 teaspoon of salt. All right, we whiz that up. I just like a little more green, so I am going to go ahead and add a little more of each of the cilantro and parsley. Our chimichurri sauce is done. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to put that into a bowl. Now, as I tasted it, I did add those extra greens. This is done. I'm going to go ahead and get that grill started, and then I'll see you outside. All right, we're just going to get those right on the grill. All right, our steaks are done. I'm going to go ahead and pull those off the grill to rest. It's a beautiful sight while I'm out here grilling. My hydrangea bushes are almost in full bloom. Another week or so and we'll have the giant puffballs, but aren't those beautiful? We are going to let that rest for about 10 minutes, and then I will go ahead and show you how I slice it, and we'll get ready for dinner. All right, friends, we are ready to cut our steak. It has rested for about 10 minutes. Now, with flank steak, no matter what size it is, I mean, these are pretty small, but you want to cut against the grain. You can see that the grain of the meat kind of runs this way, so we want to cut this into little strips. And you always want to cut flank steak a little bit at an angle. So I'm going to go in, look at that. That is beautiful. And whenever I'm cutting, I like to use a bread knife. I just find that a good serrated knife does all of the work for you. Unless you have like a very sharp knife, I just like the way a bread knife can kind of handle stuff like this. I mean, look at those beautiful pieces. Now, I'm going to serve this alongside what I call some summer mashed potatoes, which is just mashed potatoes with herbs and garlic and a little sour cream instead of milk to mash them. That way you don't need gravy, and that's why I call them summer mashed potatoes because this house loves mashed potatoes, but when it's grilling season, I'm not often braising or, cooking something in the oven for hours that renders enough juice to make gravy. So that's why I call them summer mashed potatoes, because you don't necessarily need any gravy with them. Maybe I'll do a video on those. But a nice side salad. I mean, along with the chimichurri, this is going to kind of be the star of the show. So no matter what you cook with it, it will be delicious. Oh, and this should do us for a couple days, so that's nice. All right, on to the taste. All right, friends, and just like that, we've put that in our dish, dressed it with our chimichurri sauce, and that's ready to serve. Now that is something that is beautiful for a nice family gathering, friends, dinner party, and it's not that expensive. It's a little less expensive, but yet it still gives you that like, ooh, that's so fancy feel, which is why I kind of love it. All right, now we're just gonna go in for the taste. Now I like kind of the medium to medium rare, so I'm gonna go down on this end, and I like a good amount of chimichurri on mine. So I'm gonna add just a little bit more. Ooh, my mouth is watering. Let's go ahead and give this a taste. So good. So good. Mm. Mm. So good. Now I could have cut those just a tiny bit thinner, but this is for my family, so that is perfect. The flavor is not overwhelming. It's not spicy. If you wanted spicy, you could always add maybe a little bit of cayenne to that beginning rub, or you could add some pepper flakes to the chimichurri if you wanted that a little bit spicier. You could always make this a little bit spicier if you wanted to, but this is perfect. This is great for any night of the week in my book. Thanks, friends, for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to leave a comment, please do so. I'll answer questions if you have any questions about this recipe. Also, share this with somebody that you know would love this recipe. And subscribe if you haven't. We've got new videos coming out every week. Bye for now, friends. I'm gonna eat this whole bite. Mm. Mm.